is just around 7 o'clock. This is the August 1st, 2018 meeting of the Shelburne Development Review Board. The first item that we have on our agenda, as always, is to invite everybody who's here to make any comment on anything that's not on the agenda. There is, as I always say, nobody ever seems to take me up on that, but one day. Everybody who's here should sign in. I'm sure you all have, but just a reminder, we need to know that you're here and that you took part in the meeting. So then we will turn to item which is actually number 3 on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. We have the June 20th, 2018 minutes. And
do we have enough?
I'm just wondering. We don't, because I think we need a quorum of people who were at the meeting.
Oh.
And Lisa and I were not there.
Dean and I were actually talking about this, and technically speaking...
Sorry, we did start. We should have waited. Nobody's making notes.
Yeah, technically speaking, that there actually doesn't need to be an approval of the minutes, and that it's
Okay.
actually a formality. With that as well, DRB members that are not that weren't in attendance during those meetings can also approve those minutes. So as long as a quorum is here to approve the minutes from previous meetings, it can be approved. Yeah.
So then, we have the meeting minutes from June 20th. I will make a motion to approve those minutes as written. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Sorry, Marianne, we did start.
Oh, sorry, I apologize for being late.
That's
I
right,
was stuck
it
in
was-
traffic.
yeah.
I left a message in here. Sorry.
It's okay. I just called everybody to order and there was no public comment, and
Thank you.
now we've just approved the minutes of June 20th. We also have the minutes from the July 18th, 2018 meeting. Does anybody have any comments or corrections to those minutes? No, I did not either. So then I'll make a motion that we approve those minutes as written.
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Lisa. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. Because
I
you
don't
were,
know.
because you just feel it. Then I don't know if we can.
Yeah, and it would probably be carried over to the next meeting.
Because Jeff
Yes.
wants to make trouble. Okay. So then we will postpone approval of the July 18th meeting minutes until the next meeting. Do I have? I will not make a motion for that. I don't know if I should. It sounds like you're indicating that the minutes are a bit less formal.
Yeah.
Well, the next item on our agenda is application CU 11-10R1, SP 09-04R1, and DR 18-16, which is an application by Robert Scharf on behalf of Windridge Properties LLC for conditional use and design review approval to partially change the use of an existing qualifying structure from commercial to residential. The property is at 233 Falls Road and located in the Village Centre District, the Village Core Overlay District, and the Village Design Review Overlay District. We are a little ahead, but is there anybody here to speak to that application? Not yet. I mean, I feel as if we should probably wait. So maybe I will make a motion to move item number 4, which is the application I just recited, to the end of our items, so to be item number 7.
Second.
Thank you, Lisa. All those in favour?
Aye.
Do you happen to be connected with Robert Scharf and Windridge Properties?
Yes.
Excellent timing. We are a little ahead.
You're very quick.
We almost just put you to the end of the agenda, but we will take you up right now since you're here. If you could step forward, please, and I will swear you in. Do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. So can you identify yourself and
Yeah,
maybe
so
give us an overview?
Robert Scharf, representing Windridge Properties LLC, which owns 233 Falls Road, which
Yeah.
is a multi-unit property, commercial residential. And this application is basically to change the use of a portion of the main commercial building to residential. Under the bylaws, there's an allowance for a portion of a commercial principal qualifying structure to change to residential, and this application is to make that change to the bulk of the space in the main building at 233, which is about a 2,100 foot Victorian farmhouse, and currently used as retail, as office, Class A office. It used to obviously be a residence.
Yeah. Any DRB members have
And
questions?
I could just clarify, there won't be any external changes here, no noticeable changes. We're using existing space. So, sorry.
I'm interested in the use, when you say residential, is it a rental unit? Is it going to be an Airbnb?
It's not intended to be, but likely it would be a rental or owner-occupied residential structure. It'd be the main residential structure on the lot.
Okay.
So you don't actually know at this point?
Well,
Which of those?
it would likely be a rental, I would imagine, yes, but it could be owner-occupied for a new owner as well,
For a new owner?
yes.
Okay. Of that section of the building, or?
No, of the entire property,
Okay.
if someone wanted to use it as their principal residence.
Okay. But sorry, go on.
So just want to make sure I understand.
Mhm.
So 100% of the property is switching from commercial to residential?
No,
Okay, just the house itself, and the
yeah.
outbuildings will remain?
what they are, which is a studio apartment. There's a barn, so there's two structures on the property. A barn, which has been completely renovated and is a studio
Okay,
above, and a artist's space
Okay.
below right now, and that would be unchanged.
okay, got it.
So we're just talking about the farmhouse,
Farmhouse, okay, got it.
yes, and the majority of that structure would be residential.
Okay, got it. Is the intent to redo the residential to be apartments or unknown at this point in time?
No, the residential would just be we're talking a single
Okay,
unit of residential, and then a portion of that building would remain commercial, because that's what the bylaws seem to require. So a small portion of the farm building, which is basically a small office space linked to the handicap ramp, would remain an office. And it's kind of an external.
the bylaws require that?
The bylaws allow for the conversion of a
Right.
portion of a
Right.
principal
I get that.
qualifying structure.
Sure.
So this is a portion of a principal. It doesn't say all.
Okay.
So we are not converting all.
Okay, so let me, just to clarify my question then.
Yes.
So of the structure, the majority proportion of it will be converted to residential, but there'll
Yes.
still remain a piece that's commercial?
A small piece.
Small piece,
Which
okay,
is
thank
a
you. Okay,
60-foot,
Got it.
small little space.
Okay, so literally only one small piece.
Just a small piece, yes. And that is the piece linked to the handicap ramp, and it makes sense, practically speaking.
Okay. Robbie?
Bylaws-wise, staff had no concerns in that aspect. Possible,
Question for you.
yes.
It's been declared that it's going to be a single family type of arrangement, either rental or own, whatever.
Yes.
If it gets changed to apartments, do they have to come back in here for approval?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Okay.
So then even if you're looking at a short-term rental, it doesn't seem as if it's going to be too significant at this point. Is that the general thinking? I mean,
And we're not,
The
we're not looking at
materials.
short-term rental, but yes.
right. You're not, but then it doesn't
never
sound
know.
as if, yeah.
Right, but yeah, like any house, I suppose, could be rented out short-term.
Yeah. Any other questions, clarifications? No. Any members of the public like to ask any questions or make any comments? No? Okay, so then I will make a motion to finalize the record for conditional use application CU 11-10R1, site plan application SP 09-04R1, and design review application DR 18-16. And also a motion to close the hearing with an indication of approval. So I would direct staff to prepare a decision to indicate that approval of those aforementioned applications as depicted on the application materials prepared by Robert Sharp on behalf of Windridge Properties. The conditions will be that a zoning permit will be required prior to any changes in use. And we just note that any conditions that haven't been addressed by those applications that we've mentioned are not altered by this decision.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So the next item on our agenda is application CU 18-06. We're still a little ahead of ourselves. But this is an application by Don and Sheila Sharp for conditional use approval to convert an existing structure that used to host a preschool into a two-bedroom accessory apartment. The property is at 816 Bishop Road and is located in the Rural District and the Stormwater Overlay District. Is there anybody here to speak to that application? Okay. Could you
Yeah, I'm Don Sharp,
stand up?
the owner.
I'll swear you in.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes.
Do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you will give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, okay.
So now you can identify yourself
Oh,
and maybe give
Don
us
Sharp,
give us an overview.
the owner of the property.
Okay. So, I mean, we have your application, but maybe just give us
Right.
another overview.
Yeah, there's actually two buildings there's three buildings on the property. One is my principal residence. That was built in 2005. We bought the property in 2001. It had a 1,249 square foot, three-bedroom ranch house that was on the 5-acre property. And my wife, we converted that to a preschool
Right.
that she ran for quite a few years. And they made application to build my principal residence on that property. We were allowed to build a one-bedroom house, which I did do in my principal. It's a big one-bedroom house, but it's one bedroom, literally one bedroom. And she continued to run the preschool. She's since retired, and we now would like to have the option to operate that as an accessory apartment, two-bedroom accessory apartment.
Okay. And any questions from the board? No. How do you envision using the apartment once it's
I know what the background of the question is, and frankly, we have two choices. I mean, it's a long-term rental or an Airbnb. Probably 25% chance of, I'd like to have the option of an Airbnb, The problem is that for that, I'd have to furnish it, which is additionally, quite a bit more expense. And the payback is really not there, so it's probably a high probability that it'll be a long-term rental. I mean, I do have in-laws that rent Airbnbs that we would like to be able to potentially rent that to them and use it from time to time. But this, if you understand, this building is 20 feet from my principal residence, and we're not absent landlords. We're going to be there, and I'm going to be very careful. We're not even going to advertise this. I was going to make it available for my father, who just recently passed away. So that was, a change of plan there. So we're not about to be an uncontrolled situation, let's put it that way. I'm sorry?
That's never the plan,
It's
is
never
it?
the plan, but I feel that being there physically on site is a controlling influence. That's
What you're saying.
right.
Ravi, that was really your main concern is,
And staff, we've talked with Don the other day about this. Don raised a number of questions that we hope that we clarified a lot of details about
Yeah.
it. And it is something that's possibly something that possibly Dean or the select board may raise in the future about with Airbnbs. And definitely a topic of conversation. But as of now, there is no regulatory mechanism over short-term rentals, Airbnbs as such. The only thing to note is possible traffic impacts. But I think that the applicant can counter argue that pretty well based on the prior uses. And those were the only concerns of staff at the moment.
I know I've heard anecdotally from several residents of Shelburne, having problems with with neighbors renting out their homes as Airbnbs. So I was going to ask if there's any regulatory stance, but given that there are none, and it's probably a little more reassuring since you're living like right next door that you'll have a control of what's happening there.
Yeah.
These Airbnb rentals, short-term rentals, things with absent landlords has come to the planning and zoning office's attention, and it is something that we believe raises a conversation about it that should be visited by the select board in the near future. I mean, not by us, I guess.
no. All right. Does anybody in the audience have any comments or questions? No? Okay, well, then I will make a motion to finalize the record for application CU 18-06 and to close with an indication of approval, directing staff to prepare a decision indicating that approval of conditional use application CU 18-06 as depicted on the application materials prepared by Don and Sheila Sharp, with the condition that a zoning permit shall be required prior to any changes in use, and always to note that any conditions that have not been addressed by this application are not altered by this decision.
Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you. Seconded by Lisa. All those in favour? Aye. Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We are still a little early, but we will take up the next item on the agenda, which is an application by Francis Carr and Edward McMahon on behalf of True North Farm of Shelburne Bay LLC. This is for a conditional use review to construct a lakeshore erosion control structure. The property is at 0 Sled Runner Road and is located in the Rural District, the Lakeshore Overlay District, and the Floodplain and Watercourse Overlay District. And I guess that you're here to tell us about this. So I will swear you in. Do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you will give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm Frances Carr. I'm one of the principals in the application, and I would like to share with you just a few visuals. I know you have the application in front of you, but since this is a biotechnical solution, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to take a look at it, and maybe it makes it a little easier for the questions, if there are any. Or
It's warming up.
it's warming up. I can warm up too. It's okay. Well, I can just give a little bit of background while that may be warming up or not. Robbie, I think you're close now. Just to give a little bit of background, when we have basically it's 50 feet of lake access, and the property is owned by True North Farm of Shelburne Bay. So we have the 50 feet of access, and we directly share that deeded access with our neighbors, Vlad Kogan and Vladimir and Vlad Alexieva. And so in the process, over the couple of years that we've been there, we've noted that there was a problem with the embankment basically collapsing into the lakefront. And so we began to have discussions with various groups to find out, well, what can we do to kind of stop that? Because there's a tremendous amount of siltation that's happening at the bottom, which is contributing to algae, et cetera. I didn't have the best pictures there, but in the upper panel you can see some of the remnants of the algae that form, and this is right there in Shelburne Bay, and a siltation that's all around the bottom of the access area altogether. So it tremendously impacts there, and it's really coming down because there's no there had been no work done there before. There's no stabilization and no maintenance of that property in that area. So just for, again, for perspective, that little brown square up there, or, it's not quite a square, is actually the area we're talking about, and that this line here is a 100-foot high water mark, so we're well on the other side of that. So we're really just talking...
Sorry. Looks like it bisects the square.
No, I'm sorry, this, I can't quite reach it. This line, the white,
Oh, okay.
is 100-foot wide.
Thank you.
No, that's just a property and alignment on that. So we're well beyond that, which mattered in terms of when we were going through Department of Conservation for their approvals and reviews, and the Army Corps of Engineers, where this was, really mattered. So that's kind of what it looks like right now. So you can see the collapsing in of the side of the hillside there.
From the steps to the tree.
From yes, to the left of the really old steps that are degrading, actually. And you can see a little bit of what's happening with the root exposure, et cetera. Again, it's all of the soil that's leaving. So we actually spent a little time talking with Tim Lindenmeyer and Rebecca Lindenmeyer from the Linden Land Group, and talked with them about coming up with a biotechnical solution as opposed to just building a wall right there. And so they have come up with, and we also knew the town was interested in biotechnical solutions rather than structural solutions. So they came up with a plan to basically install these coconut fiber coils. They're in the dark brown, they're quarter logs, but they're coconut fiber. And how they get put into the area is illustrated here with these big spikes that go down, and then these basically long coils get established, and you'll see in the next slide, it's that's an amplification. So what happens is it's basically terracing up that area with these natural materials, and then putting in small boulders to buffet that. When I say boulders, I mean ones that you can pick up and move as opposed to these. And then stabilizing that with natural plants to kind of put this all back in place.
Can you go back?
Yep.
Do you have 36 inches of soil to do that, or will you be drilling into rock?
We have 36 inches of soil.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was all tested through.
Okay.
And this is what, conceptually this would look like. Where you can see where the terraces are. These are boulders that are in and about down there, and we can align them so that they provide. Jack Milbank, who's the engineer that reviewed this, had suggested ensuring that we protect what's called a toe. I've learned about this too. I didn't know it was called a toe, but that way it stabilizes the hillside, so we can just move the existing boulders around. And again, when I spoke with Mike Adams at the Army Corps of Engineers, he said it was all good. We didn't need to even go back and have another conversation with them because we were, so far on the other side of the high water mark. So that's just a conceptual, sort of image of what it would look like with the terrace. And this is also conceptual, and basically this is the idea of putting the plants in there to really stabilize and secure that soil. We'll do some at the top as well. There's the top with boulders, so you don't at the top of the hillside collapsing back over. So again, this is conceptual with plants all around, and we did intend to put that less than 200 square feet gravel right up in that area to kind of stabilize that. We had looked at permeable patios and whatever, all different kinds of materials that we could put up to stabilize. This is the area that's in existence right now. So we came up with the gravel idea, and again, more plants, not buckthorn and not huckleberry, just more plants to really have deep roots in there. So we worked with Michaela Stickney at the Department of Environmental Conservation, and she said we were exempt and refunded us our application fee. Mike Adams, I got to know in explaining how all of that process worked. And he said that since all the work will take place above the ordinary high water mark, no further documentation was needed. We started this process, and we've been communicating with our co-access owners, if you will, Vlad and Vlada, and they provide a letter of support and concurrence. And obviously, since this is a permit requirement, the actual owners of the land had to sign the formal application, and they have in fact done so. And Jack Milbank did the technical engineering review. And I just wanted to draw your attention to a comparison. This is the adjoining easement area, and this is what was put in place in terms of boulders and sort of the terracing, and it's all, if you will, a structural solution there with the boulders and gravel, and basically very different approach to it's the same contiguous hillside there. And that's what that looks like from where they are. You can see, again, there's a lot of stonework that's up there and a lot of the small stones, and we're only talking about less than 200 square feet to be in compliance, and this is far in excess of that. And that's just another view, that's all. Sorry, I like pictures. I find them a little bit easier to illustrate.
Looks like you've done some hard work, and it's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah, thank you.
So is the intent that once the plants take root and mature, that this will be a permanent solution?
It will be a long-term
Yeah,
solution.
I was just wondering.
You
Okay.
know, in the sense of how long will those coir logs stay in place?
Right.
The expectation is 15 to 20 years. I mean,
Okay.
so in that sense, it's a long-term solution.
Okay.
And it just seemed to be a little bit more in keeping with, we're just really trying to stabilize the
sure.
hillside and keep the.
But my only thoughts would be any gravel that's used, it'll be like the native gravel that's there. We don't want to have like white limestone be brought in, so.
That would
We
be
just-
unappealing to us.
Of course, of course.
And the same with any of the rocks that were being moved around down there. The whole idea is that it's all sort of, it looks like it was always there.
Right. Do you anticipate having to bring in aggregate? Is
No.
there enough there? Okay.
Not at this point, but
Okay.
I'm not sure that.
My name's Jack Milbank. I'm here in support of.
Swear you in.
You're going to give us some...
I'm just going to answer a question because, you want me to swear me in?
Yeah. So do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you will give in the cause under consideration to be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the penalties and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you.
So to answer your question, there will be some material that's brought in because
But stand beside
the detail in the section that their group designed for the landing area at the top of the stairs it's a permeable section, and they're going to need aggregate. It's an aggregate, but they'll need stone for that. So there will be some
Okay.
addition of material.
So I would probably want to add a stipulation that any stone brought in or aggregate has to match or blend in with the native stone there.
Yeah, the stone in the adjoining, the contiguous site is all white stone, so we notice.
Okay.
Any materials brought in?
Yeah.
Okay.
The native rock.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody in the audience have questions or comments? Ravi, it didn't seem as if you really had any issues, just that project review sheet to be a
Yes.
condition. Okay. All right, so then I'll make a motion to finalize the record for application CU 18-07. And I will also make a motion to close, indicating approval, directing staff to prepare a decision indicating that approval as depicted of the application as depicted in the materials prepared by Francis Carr and Edward McMahon on behalf of True North Farm of Shelburne Bay LLC. The conditions are that a zoning permit shall be required prior to installation of the lakeshore erosion control structure, and the applicant must submit the Vermont Agency of National Resources project review sheet with their application for a zoning permit. And any materials that are brought into the site should blend in with the native stone and rocks that are on site already. And finally, we always note that any conditions are in place that have not been addressed by this application are not altered by this decision. It's kind of. Lisa has seconded, thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Aye. Motion carried, thank you. Yes, we are.
Okay. Yeah, you just put it on my desk. Yeah, no problem.
All right, yeah, well, we're pretty much on schedule. So we will turn to application SUB 18-02, which is an application by Sterling Land Company for sketch plan review of a proposed 3-lot subdivision. The property at 82 Mount Philo Road is located in the residential district and the stormwater overlay district. Okay, so anybody who's going to give evidence should stand, raise your right hand and be sworn in, please. Do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. All right.
We'll have to work with folks behind me that may not.
With the old-fashioned version.
My name's Andy Rowe with Lamoureux and Dickinson. Also here tonight is Colin Frisbee with Sterling Land Company, and we're here for sketch plan review for a 3-lot subdivision at 82 Mount Philo Road. This is a 1.5 acre parcel surrounded by residential lots of varying size. There's currently a single-family home on the front portion of the property, a shed directly behind the existing house, but the rear portion of the 1.5 acre lot primarily wooded. Mount Philo Road is here, the intersection with Bacon Drive is here, and the intersection with Fowles Road is just a few lots to the north. Slopes on the front of the lot are about 4 to 6% in the area where the existing house and the lawn is, about 8 to 10% on the back half in the wooded area. The single-family home will remain on Lot 1, as will the shed. 2 single-family lots proposed in the back, 30-foot access and utility easement proposed for a shared drive along the south side of Lot 1, turning and then serving both of the rear lots. The existing driveway into the single-family house will remain. There's an old gravel driveway that wraps around to the back of the house, and that would be removed. I don't think it's in use any longer, and will be abandoned and reseeded. The driveway serving lots 2 and 3 is proposed to be gravel with a paved apron coming right off Mount Philo Road. We will confirm that with the fire department. That was one of the recommendations of staff. There's currently a sidewalk on the opposite side of Mount Philo Road that continues down Mount Philo Road a ways, continues up, ties into the network that leads into the village. And if you look at Table 3 under Section 1900.8, I think it is, the implementation table, it talks about sidewalks being on one side of streets in the residential district. And so we would ask the board to, I guess, follow Table 3 as far as implementation, and recognize that there's an existing sidewalk along Mount Philo Road as opposed to requiring an additional sidewalk on the opposite side of Mount Philo Road as suggested by staff. Staff also pointed out that the shed location currently doesn't comply with the property line as shown. The shed's in pretty good shape and it is on a foundation, so we'll either remove the shed, move the shed, but most likely adjust the property lines going forward so that the setback for the shed is met with the proposed property lines. And then lastly, as I noted, the back half of the lot is wooded. There are a number of blowdowns in that area that will be cleaned up as part of this project, obviously. But we will look very closely at the mature trees in that area. And I can say from my experience with this applicant, they've been more than willing and look at the existing vegetation as a real asset in laying out the houses. You know, they're not looking to go in and clear the entire lots. Certainly we'll be looking to save some of the existing trees along the 2 side yard setbacks of each lot, but also looking at the potential in between the homes and also along the back of the lots as well. You know, we'll have additional information on grading and utilities, but more than likely, you know, the homes will be on the front portion of those lots, which will allow for a fair number of trees to be maintained. And that's it as far as an overview, and I think we probably hit on most of the staff recommendations as well. We have reviewed the proposed conditions, and again, the only one in particular that we would ask that the board take a look at is the recommendation for an additional sidewalk along the west side of Mount Philo Road, given that there's already a sidewalk along the east side of Mount Philo Road.
Right. Questions, comments from board members?
I comment, because I'm just looking at some of the criteria here, and item number 7 I'm looking at is you know, we need to judge whether this proposed development is compatible with the surrounding properties. And if you can help me understand how that is.
So as I mentioned to start with, it's a little difficult to see on this plan because it's zoomed in a little tighter, but the residential lots in this area are a variety of sizes. There have been at least a couple of similar type projects that we haven't been involved in, but have been proposed on Mount Philo Road. I'm not sure how many properties to the south, but it's on the opposite side. There was a similar project where the house existed in the front and a couple of lots were created in the back. And I don't think it was that long ago, but it was probably a few years ago. I did find the plans online. I'm not sure if Ravi's familiar with that. I can't remember the name of the private drive that serves the 2 lots in the back, but it's not more than a few hundred feet to the south along Mount Philo Road.
I reinforce this comment, same thing. We need to know what the neighborhood feels like. And what my quick look at Google Earth showed that this would be the first. So we'd want to know if there are other houses, other lots that have the same type of approval for subdividing. Don't have to answer the question now. But
Hear what that was.
my comment was, my quick looking at just the Google Earth or Google Maps indicated that this property would be the first along the street to do that. So again, we want to make sure we understand what the feel of the neighborhood looks like, and if this will be changing the feel of the neighborhood. That's an important consideration.
The 4 lots to the south of it, on the same side of the road, there is a existing, very similar shared drive going back to multiple units.
You got my input. I'm not convinced. Okay.
I mean, we're just a sketch plan.
This is just sketch plan. I don't have a concern with this. That's one of my concerns. If it's changing the tone of the neighborhood, we need to understand that. And just my quick view indicates that it is, and we need to be aware of that. If it's not, then I would like them to show us that it's not. Okay. Sure, absolutely.
Site visit might be helpful.
So Andy, Colin, would a kind of site visit be arranged to visit this the subject property to gauge a sense of the surrounding neighborhoods, the consistency of its uses, and any other concerns the board may have.
Ron, is there a way that we can get an understanding if any of the other neighboring lots up and down that street have approvals for, or already subdivided but not exercised yet?
I, at the moment, was not aware of any precedent of like that, but that's something that I can definitely research and follow up with.
Which you're referencing.
Certainly.
I only have a portion of the plan that shows the property on the opposite side of Mount Philo Road, but we'll certainly submit that for the record.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to share it with you now, it's just I'm not able to put it in context for you. So Ken,
I mean, I think that,
the property identified as owned by Kent on there, I believe is just south to the Muzzy property, which abuts this parcel. But again, we can provide a larger scale plan and show where that project is in relation to the applicant's property.
yeah, okay. Maybe, that would be, yeah.
And we'll also look at other projects that may have been either, 1, constructed, or 2, recently approved in that area as well.
Okay. So we won't take this into evidence just now then, because it's, yeah. But thank you.
Do we have any input from, safety is the number one concern, of course, always. Do we have any input from the fire department yet on the lots in the back and the size of the driveway, the radius of the turn, all that stuff? Have they had a
No.
chance to look at this?
I don't think so. I think that's,
Yeah, I would say not, 'cause it would look, you know,
Okay.
because it's
my
only,
perspective, I think they'd have some comments on it.
Yeah. We'd like to get input from the fire department, of course.
before you let them go any further.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not getting warm and fuzzy right now. There's too many things that we need to understand better before we, at least in my opinion,
No, I'm with
before
you.
we give it the green light to the next step. I'm not saying they're, no, I'm just saying we need to do due
Let's
diligence.
understand a bit more, yeah.
So in terms of the character of the area, taking one step back to the initial comment, does the fact that projects have been previously approved and constructed weigh heavily in your mind in terms of establishing the character of the area?
I'd look at two things. I'd look at that, and I'd also look to see if there were previous lots that were approved for this type of subdivision, but it hasn't been exercised. That's also very valid data points.
As an indication that, I'm not sure which direction you're headed in with projects that.
Well, that indicates then that this was previously looked at, and people have voted, previous boards have voted on it and said it's okay. So again, it's a data point that we need to consider. Whether it was acted upon or not, that's up to the owner of the property.
Okay, that's what I wasn't clear on.
Right. Mhm. I put it, the whole street had this happen to, and they're all, already the lots are there, they just haven't been acted upon. It's like, okay, this is just another lot of many.
Makes sense. All right, so we've got that, and we've got input from the fire department and emergency services before we go any further, and we have a site visit to arrange. Pardon? Yeah. Oh. Would you like to run the meeting? I mean, sorry.
Does our town, are they worried about curb cuts? Is a new driveway going in or not? I'm just thinking of things that
He
are.
did say
Yes.
there was one.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah, okay.
there is the
Which is
driveway
probably-
now is currently slightly offset from Bacon Drive, and the new shared drive serving the two lots would be on the south side.
Okay, so that's not an issue, that's just a work item for the town. Okay.
I guess so. Questions? Any more questions? Okay. Any members of the public who would like to make any comments?
Yeah.
Yep. So come forward to the mic and I'll swear you in.
Okay.
So if you raise your right hand, and do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Muzzy, and my mom lives adjacent to this on the south side. And I'm curious, I have questions. The property that was referred to that had a subdivision and a dwelling built right behind it is on the other side of the road, on the east side of the road. It's not across from my mom's house, it's 3 lots south of that. There's no, on the west side of the road, I think all the lots are about an acre plus or minus, and there may be subdivisions that exist that haven't been acted upon, but I'm not aware of any development that's occurred for quite some ways, at least until, it may even be as far as the airport, in front of the airport.
I mean, those are all things that we're certainly going to research.
I'm sorry?
Those are all things that we're going to research and look into.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so what, yeah. Okay.
And so where the driveway is here, the driveway cut near my mom's property, is there going to be a swale on the south side of that, or any alteration of that would have, that would channel water close to the edge of the property? Or what's the plan for dealing with that?
I suppose they don't necessarily know that at this time, do they? We're only in sketch
Yeah.
plans, so I think it's
Right.
more of
So-
a concept, but
Got it.
you'd be concerned about drainage. Is that what
I
you're
would be
saying?
an erosion there, and that's an area that we've seen, that we've had issues with my mom's house, because of the way it is, and we've had to kind of reinforce it there. So I'd be concerned about any negative impact there, or potentially negative impact. And please forgive me, this is the first time I'm here, so I don't know what the protocol is, or
No,
what
that's
questions
fine.
are
We
fair or
have
not.
very little protocol.
Yeah, okay. Yep, so, my comments. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I think your concerns will get addressed further as they go along. This is
I
just
see.
a preliminary sketch, but assuming things move forward, there'd have to be more and more refinement of the plans and stuff, and things like that would have to be addressed.
Got it.
And documented down, so your comments would not be taken casually.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I'm Steve Lavalette. I'm on the north side of it.
Raise your right hand, please. Just swear you in to give evidence. So do you hereby swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
I mean, I don't see it being 3 lots myself. 2 lots is all it was ever designed for. I can't see other than 2 homes back there. It's not big enough. I mean, you say you're gonna leave trees. I mean, it's not even big enough. You're gonna have to clear cut the whole thing. But that's the
Okay,
way I see it.
All right,
You know.
again.
We're getting at, we're trying to understand how this would fit with
It
the
won't fit
existing
there.
surroundings.
2 houses won't fit back there.
Any other comments from the public? No. All right. Anything else from your perspective?
Not at the moment. I think the board's done a great job addressing a number of concerns with this application. But staff feels that a number of things would be ironed out with the process towards final, especially gaining comments from other departments. But definitely a site visit is warranted to check the consistency of the development with the surrounding area, as well as to check natural resources and the protection of natural resources on the subject property.
I would like to have the fire department weigh in on this, because I don't want to, we don't want to mislead the applicant if that's going to be an issue in the next stage. Let's address things right up front. And
Continue.
I think it's a
and-
continue, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So can we set the site visit date now?
Yeah. Let's see, so we are to continue this for, thinking August 15th or September 5th?
Question, who's going to research on the other lots in the neighborhood to determine subdivision? Is that you, Ravi?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
How long will you think that'll take?
Let's see. Not too long, I mean, it doesn't, I mean.
Fine. He's got nothing else to do, okay.
It's fine, like, it's my job,
Okay, good.
so, I mean,
Okay.
here to help you as much as possible, Jeff, so. Yeah, I don't foresee any issues doing that.
Great.
It depends on the feasibility of, I guess, the applicant's schedule for scheduling a site visit, as well as your own.
Getting comments. So we need to
Yeah.
have the site visit
Site visit,
and
fire
the
department's
fire department
comments.
input
Um,
before we come back.
So
So I mean.
I'd
would-
suggest possible continuance to
Yeah.
September 5th then, to give the
first
department head
September
of
meeting.
the fire department enough time to provide effective comments and to evaluate on our own the subject property.
Right.
Mhm.
Do we have to set the time for the site visit now, though?
I think we can do that after after you've decided on the continuance, that we can, I think
Because
that site visit can be arranged afterwards. I
Well, we
mean,
have to coordinate. I just wondered if
Yes.
it would be a good idea for everybody to
mhm.
check their schedules and, do we
Yeah.
usually do like a Saturday afternoon or after work? Or what's your availability
Yeah,
like?
what's your availability?
Available when the board is available.
Last one we did was
I mean, what do people's, you have preference? Saturday, Sunday, afternoon?
last one we did was an afternoon.
Yeah.
After work.
After work.
After work would be
Preferable.
preferable.
Like, what do you guys think about 5:30, 6 o'clock?
Yeah,
All right.
6 o'clock generally
6
would
o'clock.
work.
All different.
I can make it work. Any particular day of the week?
Not Wednesday.
Are we looking at a
Wednesday.
specific?
Just to know,
Next week.
I won't be here. I'll be out of town next Wednesday through Friday.
What's that?
I cannot
That's
do
the
it on,
8th through the 10th.
Yes.
I cannot do it on Tuesday. I could on Monday.
This coming Monday, which is
The
what,
6th.
the 6th.
Monday at
That's
Six?
6.
Oh.
Monday the 6th at 6 for a site visit. Okay. Do I have to make a motion for that? All right.
So Monday the 6th, 6 o'clock, meeting at 82 Mount Bottom.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so then I will make a motion to continue sketch plan application SUB 18-02 to the September 5th meeting, you said, Ravi?
yes.
And at the same time, a motion for a site visit. Do I need a motion for a site visit? Because it is a
No.
meeting, isn't it?
Nope, you do not.
Okay. So then, can I have a second for my motion to continue? Seconded by Lisa. Thank you. All those in favour? I guess I should clarify maybe that the motion to continue in order to allow for a site visit, and that when we come back, that the applicant will have input from the fire department. Just, okay.
I didn't get when the next, when something again.
September 5th.
Fifth.
Yeah. So the first meeting in September, because we meet.
First Wednesday in September.
Yeah. And then there'll be a site visit on, can we do it that quickly? Because do we have to notice the hearing, the site visit? Because it is a meeting.
Oh,
Just a,
is it a meeting or is it?
well, because the public can come and, yeah.
Yes, Juliana, yes, in the past, they are open to the public.
Yeah.
And I have not attended them, but
But we have
Kate would
minutes
have, right, Kate
yeah.
just took, and the notes are as simple as they could, the BRB conducted a site visit and
Right. The
questions
people
were
who were
asked
there.
and answered, and it's as simple as that. Because any evidence that anything you take from the site visit, you want to enter into evidence in the meeting, so you bring it back and you ask it again.
So would the visit be publicly warned?
If there's three of you there, you'll need to.
That
All right,
that's-
so let's,
How much time do we need for that?
it'll be publicly warned, so we'll need more time. We'll want the neighbors to know.
Mm.
So then it would have to be the following.
Okay.
Okay, so not the 6th then, but the 13th.
Following Monday, if you're looking for that.
Yeah. 13th?
Double check.
You don't have to have a quorum present for a site visit.
Okay.
But if you have a quorum present.
Yeah.
it's a meeting.
It's,
I think it's better that way we can warn the public
I
and
think
any of the
so.
neighbors.
yes.
We've done due process.
Yes.
Let's do it right instead of rush it.
So 6 p.m. on the 13th.
Okay. Doesn't really help. But
How was the date for the site visit?
that's going to be Monday the 13th
Monday the
at 6 o'clock. At 6 p.m.
Monday the 13th of August? Yes. At
Yes.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Did I say all those in favour of the motion to continue? I don't think I did.
Here's the second.
There was a second by Lisa. All those in
Aye.
favour of continuing?
Aye.
Aye. We'll get there eventually.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Any other business or correspondence? I just have one item, which is, Dean had forwarded an email that all boards might like to consider possible future capital improvement projects for the fiscal year 2020.
Oh, that's so easy. A new laptop.
I'm not sure that they're after anything sort of that specific.
Yeah, I mean, this is 5 to 10 years. This is capital improvement, so hopefully we get a new laptop within 5 to 10 years.
Just to let you know what Gail Alberts, no, what?
Are we a capital improvement from DRB?
I think he was just, throwing it out there, like anybody have.
Like a few months ago?
I mean, I think it comes
Because we've said
around.
the technology.
The technology, that's like
Well,
number
that's-
one for us. I mean, we're here to serve the public, the town is here to serve the public, and it was embarrassing that we have to have everything there that can be shown, because I can capture it there, it just makes it so much easier and it flows.
I think they're thinking bigger picture than that.
I'd just be happy with the small picture.
So, let's see. So, for example, Gail Albert says, a thorough inspection and overhaul of our stormwater and wastewater infrastructure systems.
That's capital.
Yeah, I know, but it's just an illustration of, is there anything in particular that occurs to the DRB on more of a bigger scale?
Sidewalks.
Sidewalks?
Sidewalk clarification.
Clarifications.
Oh, well, okay.
That is an
That's
agenda
a-
item for the next DRB meeting for sidewalks.
DRB or planning commission?
DRB,
Us?
us.
Oh, very good. Good.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Are we still
Well, that was another
other
business
business,
item, which I
How about
think Dean wanted us to.
questions? I have a question. I don't know if that happens now or after we adjourn.
And I
Sorry.
want to know what you wanted in minutes. You wanted this, what was it about future capital improvement items for the FY 2020?
I want to go on record, we want a new laptop.
better technology?
Better technology. We've been asking now for years, and the town is slow in delivering. And we're here to serve the public, and this would help speed the process. A laptop running Windows XP doesn't quite do it.
Okay. Sorry.
I need a dot matrix printer.
I think that questions can be in.
Okay. I don't know if it's an
Other
appropriate
business
question
item?
here, but
Oh,
when I was
oh.
reading through these and there were like the two basically change in use applications, does that then somehow get back to the town that there might be different taxation on these facilities if it's changed use from, say, commercial to residential? And how does that get,
How's that? Sorry.
just how does that, because it seems like that should happen, that, okay, if we say, okay, you can change that from commercial to residential, then that takes something off somewheres here, so the property gets reassessed or whatever based on that change of use.
Or this, yeah.
And it might mean more revenue for the town, or it might mean less.
That's definitely a question for the assessment department
Yeah.
more than me.
But the,
I would think it would be through the permit.
Through the
But it
permit.
may not
There
occur
is a-
until whatever the
Because I can see if a
There's-
building permit would clearly
Yeah.
change it, but
But
if it was
there's
just
a
a change in
zoning
use in the
permits.
zoning permit, that also flows to the,
Yeah, it's interconnected because
Okay.
a lot of times for doing inspections for like certificate of occupancy, sometimes I often go with the tax assessor. So we're very much working hand in hand with, especially with changes in use with property records. So it should carry over and have some sort of change from my understanding, but that's definitely a question for the assessment department.
anything else? Okay. So then I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Lisa. All those in favor? Aye.